Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution is not going to get that man today. No, because I'm going to get him.
And welcome back, folks, to this edition of the Hagman and the Hagman Report. We are about ready to be joined by George Webb. He's got a very, he's famous on the internet. He's got a very wildly popular YouTube channel and YouTube following. It began, I think, 214 days ago with an entry, "Where in the world," or "Where is Eric Braverman?" And it is expanded into areas covering the Awan brothers. We've talked about the Awan brothers, covering the Seth Rich homicide. We've talked about that. Rat lines. He's out in the field, and it's very. Eric Braverman is where George Webb started. And for those of you who don't know who Eric Braverman is, Eric Braverman is the former Clinton Foundation CEO who hasn't been seen or heard from in quite some time. Very interesting set of circumstances. And of course, Braverman is, I believe he's got a husband in New York City. But aside from that, the investigation by George Webb moved on to the Awan brothers and points in between. And pretty soon and in fact, George Webb, I believe, was one of the first, if not the first, to discuss the 5 Awan brothers, AWAN brothers, and their 2 wives in the congressional, in the congressional, the 20 burglaries in the congressional offices. And really at the heart of everything here, when we come down to the wire, it's again the old story of the hack versus the leak. And it will unravel things because the narrative of the Russian hack okay, you prove that incorrect, or if you show that incorrect, it'll really whittle down it'll get to the truth rather quickly. And I could go on and on and on, but there's the foundation for George Webb. We had him on, I believe it was February 26th or thereabouts initially, and following his investigation, his investigative work product has really grown since that time. And the research findings that he's done, just amazing. And he has caught the attention of numerous people. In fact, yesterday or the day before, or this week, he has been in D.C. With a number of congressional people, notifying them. Okay, Eric the Tech just said, yeah, he'll be on in about a minute. So that's pretty cool. So we're anxious to kind of get the overview. We're going to go into this, get an overview of what he's done so far, and then work quickly to the current day where he's at, and then also find out what we all can do, each one of us, to advance, to help him and to advance his investigation. So we are going to skip the bottom of the hour network break. Okay, so Eric, I just want to let you know ahead of time. Let's give him the full time here. We're going to skip the bottom of the hour network break, and we do have him on the line. So with that, George Webb, internet sleuth extraordinaire. George, how are you, sir?
Hey, great, Doug. I'm at dinner here with Dr. Jerome Corsi and Jason Goodman.
Wow.
So you're going to have kind of all 3 of us here.
Well, hey, Dr. Corsi, it's been a while. How you doing, brother?
I'm gonna just give the phone to Dr. Corsi a second just to verify that he is still alive here in Washington D.C.
Okay.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Dr.
Doug Jerry Corsi.
Yeah, how you doing, Dr. Corsi?
How are you?
Oh man,
I'm great. I'm just great.
Well,
we're having dinner here tonight.
It's a pleasure it's a thrill to talk to you, man. It's been a while since I've seen you, but thanks for being part of the discussion. Hop in anytime, brother.
Always my pleasure. Always my pleasure. I mean, I think the last time we were together was in one of the meetings. I remember being on your show in person.
Yeah. Yes. It was great. It was great. You do a great job, Dr. Corsi, and folks. Dr.
Well, thanks.
Jerome.
You're very kind.
Well,
you're very kind.
Well, I got to ask, what are we having tonight? What are we eating?
Well, here's George. He'll figure it out.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm going to let those two guys talk now.
George, order me a side of wings.
Your guest.
Order me.
Or prime rib here at Morton's on the terrace.
There you go. Now we're going to triangulate and get a drone, and it's going to just be a mess. But anyway, George, I set the foundation. Basically, you began this with, where's Eric Braverman, and this has gone through the Awan brothers. I mean, you've developed this huge investigation, and you've done very well. Where do you want to start here? Because there are people at different levels of understanding and knowledge. Where do you want to start first?
Well, there's a lot of competing theories and things going on right now. I mean, things are very much in flux. I'm here in D.C. I'm talking to a lot of different congressmen and senators, and, things are in flux. There's a couple of alternative theories right now, and we're really trying to figure it out. I mean, there's one that Eric Braverman is the guy who did the 4 leaks. 4 leaks being DNC hacks, Podesta leaks, the DCC leaks, the Democratic Caucus leaks, which most people don't kind of forget about, and then the Clinton Foundation leaks. So there's 4 leaks there. Is that one leaker, or is Seth Rich a leaker, and Sean Lucas a leaker, and then Eric Braverman? The whole thing comes down to one, really fundamental question. It's a leak versus a hack. If it's a Russia hack and all the CNN stuff, or is it a leak? And I got some great information from Dr. Corsi tonight about, more information to support the leak scenario. And Seth Rich, and then Sean Lucas being very much a good friend of Seth Rich, and very much a part of the DNC, and being an employee of the DNC. So that was a piece I didn't have before tonight. Dr. Corsi has said he has high-level intelligence officials that are telling him that Sean Lucas was an employee of the DNC. The reason why that's important is if you are trying to get a thumb drive, and we're talking about the WikiLeaks thumb drive network now, if you're trying to get a thumb drive to Julian Assange, you might use Sean Lucas as an intermediary in that drop of the thumb drive.
All right. Now, Sean Lucas was he an attorney? He was a process server, I think, right?
He's just a process server. He wasn't an attorney or anything, but as Dr. Corsi and I both agreed, they were both ideologues. They were both kind of Bernie-crats, like I am. They both believed that Hillary had tilted the table or put her finger on the scale, or however you want to say it, against Bernie. They thought that was unfair. They witnessed the Get Bernie meeting of the 8th or the 7th of February. They witnessed the chair throwing where the Hillary people threw the chairs in Las Vegas, and then they blamed it on the Bernie people. They witnessed the New York primary, I believe, of May 1st, where all the get out the vote was suppressed in New York, the primary, and they were fed up. So they decided to act. Now, we still don't know what days we're still trying to figure out what days the thumb drives were handed over. And that's metadata. We're looking at metadata now. We're looking at tracing the steps of Seth Rich and Sean Lucas to figure out the metadata.
All right. And then that makes sense because metadata does not lie. So, okay. I mean, the collective nature of it. Okay. All right. So, ultimately, resolving these questions will resolve the bigger question of hack versus leak. And now, it's my understanding you are kind of identifying the players in this and the contacts, which include but are not limited to Michael Ratner, John Jones, Gavin McFadden, who's deceased, as well as John Jones and Ratner, Craig Murray, and of course, perhaps Eric Braverman. Now you're tossing Lucas into this, Sean Lucas, as perhaps a runner, part of the rat line of thumb drives. Is that
yes.
to WikiLeaks?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That's exactly correct. And what I disclosed to Dr. Corsi tonight was that I was a member of the what informally was known as the WikiLeaks network, which is an up-down network. And you don't know, in a blind network, you don't know when you're passing thumb drives. You don't know anything more than your downstream and your upstream. You don't know anything more than where you're getting the thumb drive from and where you're giving it to. And you don't know what's on the thumb drive. So Kim.com is saying, oh, I'm this, incredibly pivotal player. I was the participant. I was a participant of giving thumb drives to Michael Ratner, okay, in New York. I knew Michael Ratner mirrored everything that he did, mirrored everything he got on WikiLeaks to John Jones in London. I know for a fact that Gavin McFadden got all his information from John Jones. He was the feed point. John Jones was the feed point. Gavin McFadden ran the journalism school every year with all the kids coming in to, I can't remember the university in London. That's where they got all the kids to bring in the thumb drives. So I don't have proof that Eric Braverman went to Ratner to give the thumb drives. You got to remember, there's 4 leaks. There's 4 leaks, and this is Jerome Corsi and I disagree on this. There's 4 leaks. There's the Democratic Caucus leak, the DCC leak. People forget about that. There is the DNC leaks. There's also the leaks from Podesta leaks, and then there's also the Clinton Foundation leaks. The one person that would have had access to all 4 of those bodies of information would have been Eric Braverman. Sean Lucas wouldn't have known anything about the Democratic Caucus. He wouldn't have known anything about the Podesta emails because that was not DNC. That was the Center for American Progress, and he wouldn't have known anything about the Clinton Foundation. So the one person, it could be, there's 2 scenarios here. One could be that there's a Seth Rich leaker, and then there's a Podesta leaker, and it's Fuzzy Bear, and it's Cozy Bear, and whatever, Happy Bear, or whatever the CrowdStrike, whatever the Schumer, scenario, Schumer, Adam Schiff hoax, Russia hoax scenario. I can't remember even what they call it, Cozy Bear. Or it could be that there is one really disaffected person within the Clinton Foundation that is giving all 4 of these leaks, 4 different drops, 4 different thumb drives. And then the other alternative scenario is there's a Seth Rich leaker, that's 1. And there's a Podesta leaker, that's 2. There's a Democratic Caucus leaker, that's 3. There's a Clinton Foundation leaker, that's 4. That's Eric Braverman. So we're hot on the trail. We're in pursuit. We don't know the answer, and that's why I'm meeting with Jerome Corsi to try to figure this out.
Well, I think that this is of historic importance, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we're talking with George Webb, and Dr. Jerome Corsi as well is with George Webb, and of course a filmmaker. I think you said, or Jason, who's part of the team. I saw him on the videos. But George, let me just back up for just a second here to make this clear, just so it's clear in my mind. You're intimately familiar because you just said, and maybe I missed this, but you were part of the WikiLeaks. You were part of the WikiLeaks transfer of information, personally.
Yeah. So yes, I was. So before WikiLeaks was even formed, there was an RT network. Before RT was even formed, there was a network of getting information between New York and London. And what you would do is basically thumb drives in Central Park is what I would call it. But there were people that were not getting published in Europe that needed to be published in the United States. So thumb drives would come this way from, people writing, basically authors or dissidents coming to New York. And then there was thumb drives going the other way for mainly South American journalists that felt like, the CIA was being oppressive in South America. This was mainly through the Czech embassy in New York. That's my experience.
Got it.
So I don't have any more experience than that.
Okay.
But this isn't new. This isn't new. And WikiLeaks was formed after that. And thumb drive drops in Central Park are not new. And that's how it works. And, I met Julian Assange in Australia in 1984 when he was a kid. And he is a piece of the puzzle, but he's not the whole puzzle. This is bigger than Julian Assange, and I'll just leave it at that.
Very good. All right. Wow. Now we've been to the people who've been following every one of your videos, and I have, and you've got a great team of citizen researchers and journalists that are helping you as well. People who have done a lot of research, and thank God for those people, and thank God for you. All right. This is, to me, this conversation is so big. It's huge. Do we work backwards and talk, because overlapping all of this is the Awan brothers, is the Democrat. Yeah. So, where are we at where are the Awan brothers? Have they gone back to Pakistan? Have you confirmed that, or are they still around?
Yeah. Or well, the Daily Caller reported today that they did actually go back to Pakistan. Now, we're not talking about one brother or two brothers or three brothers. We're talking about four brothers and two wives, all making $160,000 a year in the Congress, all going back to Pakistan. Now, this is a guy, Imran, the ringleader, who has threatened his stepmother with killing her family if she didn't sign over her inheritance to the Awan brothers. So this isn't a genteel Pakistani intelligence group. This is a hardball Pakistani intelligence group. Now these six operatives are in the United States Congress. I was, on Capitol Hill today. I went to Andre Carson's office. I went to all the different offices that employed them. 80 different Democrats employed them over the last 12 years. And these folks, Pakistani nationals, are at the highest levels, have access to the highest levels of the United States intelligence.
Brought in by Andre Carson brought him in, right, initially, or was Carson the point of contact initially? Debbie
Wasserman Schultz, and I believe before that, Anthony Weiner, when he was a congressman from 1999 to 2001. They're really Anthony's trusted staff. You'll see if you Google WikiLeaks and you say Anthony's trusted staff, I believe that's the Awan brothers in D.C. They're sending these phones. They're sending these phones to people, these BlackBerries. What people don't realize, the members of Congress don't realize, is that these laptops, you only need one laptop in a member's office. And then the BlackBerry is syncing all the time to the laptop. So in the Daily Caller articles, if you look up Luke Rosiak and other articles, you're going to see that there's all these thin clients that they talk about. So you put one thin client in the office, you can have 5 or 6 BlackBerries in the members' offices. You're getting all their email, getting all their discussions with their donors, all their discussions with their fundraising, all their discussions for their committee meetings. They're in the agricultural meetings, they're in the Ways and Means Committee, they're in the Judiciary Committee, they're in the House, Intelligence Committee, they're in the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, everything. These BlackBerries sucked up everything. And I was at the D.C. police headquarters today, the Capitol Police headquarters, and said, I want the police report for your arrest of the Yuan brothers. I want the descriptions of the 20 laptops and the 20 BlackBerries that I believe are on the evidence list. I don't need anything other than metadata. Just tell me what you confiscated in this robbery investigation of U.S. Congress.
Okay. And
I mean, that is the key to the case. It's a robbery.
Did you get the information that you asked for?
No, I wanted the police captain who was, I think if people look at want to Google, I'm forgetting his name now, like Verdance, Verder, Rosa.
Right.
Verder Rosa.
Yep. Okay.
He's the captain of the Capitol Police, and he was berated. If you watch this video, he is berated. He's threatened 3 times
by Schultz,
by Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Yeah,
yes, 3 times.
What the heck, George? And I know, look, we don't want to keep you from your dinner, but this is important stuff. It's day 214, part 15, I believe, right? We'll just kind of throw that in there on your just to honor you. What the heck? What happened with? What's the deal with Schultz? What's the deal with Schultz on this case?
Well, she's the one who's covering this because she is the main contact, working with Anthony Weiner, working with Huma Abedin, working with Jackie Spear. She's the one who's orchestrating this, giving people BlackBerries that are surreptitiously syncing. And they're really, I mean, I don't know how many members are hacked. Now, 80 members were supported by the Yuan brothers, but it could be all 400 because there's a Verizon store in the Capitol. I've been there. You can check my videos. There's an AT&T store, and they prominently display BlackBerries. Now, these aren't the General Dynamics bulletproof BlackBerries that are approved by the NSA for no hacking. These are Hillary's private, secure, quote-unquote, secure BlackBerries from Anthony Weiner's quote-unquote, trusted staff.
Right.
And this is really, I mean, and most people don't think, oh, that's not so bad. You know, they're going to find out about an agricultural deal or whatever. No. Andre Carson from Indianapolis, the representative from Indianapolis, sits on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. He sits on the Department of Homeland Security Committee. He also sits on the critical subcommittee of the Emerging Threats subcommittee. So this is where you would get a briefing on the timing of the Yemen raid.
There you go.
So you probably remember August 6th, 2001, where the helicopter shot down in Afghanistan and 22 Navy SEALs died and 30 U.S. servicemen died. The worst day in history of the Afghan war in terms of casualties. If this intelligence, I mean, you probably have already with your
that was 2011, by the way,
I think.
Folks. Yeah, I just wanted, you said 2001. It's 2011, but we got it. Yeah.
Oh, 2011. I'm sorry. August 6, 2011. I apologize. Thank you very much, Doug, for that. But then this happened in Yemen, where they knew they were coming. Now, we have Pakistani nationals making $160,000 a year. Now, this is 6 people making $160,000 a year. Now, remember, they've threatened their stepmother with her relatives with kidnapping and killing.
Right.
They have fled to Pakistan. They don't have U.S. passports. And these are the people that have access to our highest levels. I mean, they're working for Andre Carson. They are working on the Emerging Threat Subcommittee. That is a clear and present danger. So if to U.S. servicemen now, Doug, now, not like I'm not going back to Hillary Clinton's time as Secretary of State. I'm talking about right now. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is still contracting with Imran Awan as a contractor. These folks still have access to information on Capitol Hill. I know this sounds unbelievable, but it's true.
No, it's not.
And I've walked around and I've talked to members and said, it's an awareness campaign for me. I'm going around to different members saying, do you realize that these 6 nationals that have fled to Pakistan still are connected, still have a pipeline into the United States Congress?
Okay. And so just for the people who aren't up to speed, George, take a moment, grab a sip of coffee or whatever, or drink.
Sure.
Just for the people who aren't up to speed, we're talking with George Webb, his YouTube channel, George Webb. You can search. In fact, we've got a link to his YouTube channel. He's on day 214.13, I think, or 14. On this investigation, he began with, where is Eric Braverman? Eric Braverman, of course, being the former CEO of the Clinton Foundation. That investigation progressed into the Awan brothers, 4 brothers, 2 wives, working as staffers, IT staffers for the people with, for a number of congressional Democratic Congress people, including Andre Carson and others sitting on high committees. He's found the fact that he connected that with the office break-ins, the 20 burglaries of the offices, which the equipment was taken from the offices. He found other businesses associated with the Awan brothers, including car dealerships that could be used as proprietaries or fronts for the CIA, for example, and a number of things. He also found a situation where one of the relatives, the stepmother or mother-in-law, I believe it is, of one of the Awan brothers, was being held captive in a house in Virginia. I know this sounds absolutely insane, but I urge you to go through the investigative research of George Webb to understand just how deep this goes. Now we've got these Pakistani people, Pakistani people working inside our Congress, inside our congressional building for Democrats on the highest and most sensitive committees, perhaps providing information to sources elsewhere, enemies perhaps, most likely. And liken that, or I shouldn't say liken that, think about that in the context of the downing of Extortion 17, the 22 Navy SEALs, August 6, 2011. Could it be? Could there be some connection there? And then, of course, that goes into the WikiLeaks situation, the hack versus leaks, and then not only Eric Braverman, but you enter Sean Lucas, enter the names I talked about before: Michael Ratner, John Jones, Gavin McFadden, Craig Murray, and again Eric Braverman. So all of this is tied up, and this is the path of investigation. As shotgunned as I did it, and really kind of cumbersome as I did it, this is what George Webb is on. And of course now, of late here, and he got into this, a month or 2 ago, Seth Rich, that homicide. And for all the people calling this a conspiracy theory, what George Webb has found is suggestive evidence that, no, this is not a conspiracy theory. This could very well be the difference between a hack versus a leak, and if it is shown to be a leak, will ultimately blow out of the water any allegations of Russian hacking with the DNC, and he named 4 different hacks, but you can get into that yourself. So this is where we're at. So if it sounds kind of like, my goodness, what is he talking about? What are we talking about? Well, you've got to get the background from George's investigative work product. And now he's talking as we sit today. And I didn't know this. He was part of the leak system. Maybe that's not the right word, but part of the system. So he knows the inner workings of how this works. And he's, of course, being able to apply it to today. Now he's sitting with Jerome Corsi in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital. And here we have it. And, of course, in all of its glory, shall we say? George, I hope I did you okay with that.
That was a good summary. So the beautiful, thank you so much. The beautiful part about all this is that every person that you meet along the way helps. Yes, Dr. Corsi is tremendous. You know, you gain 50 yards when you throw the ball to him. But everybody who comes to the website helps with Google searches and so forth. And it's an open source media project that you come to the channel and people send me leads. I get leads. Of course, I get leads from intelligence sources. Of course, I get help from NYPD, ex-NYPD, ex-retired FBI and current FBI through proxy. But also open source research is every bit, if not more powerful. So I would just encourage everybody to go to the channel and help in any way you can. So I'm gonna embarrass Dr. Corsi here and just say good night. My steak is here, and I'm gonna just have Dr. Corsi say good night.
All right. Thank you, George, for checking in with us.
How are you?
Dr. Corsi, is that you?
Doug?
Yes.
It's me right here.
All right. Dr. Wow.
I just want to say good night. Follow next week. We're going to do a lot of Infowars.com expose of Seth Rich murder, and we're going to break open the case of this whole Russian collusion nonsense.
Yep.
And once it's broken open, the entire Democratic National Party establishment is going to come crashing down.
I love it. And you're the guy to do it. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, these guys are good too, but we're going to start it. We're going to start it next week, and we're going to be doing a lot of it in Infowars, and we're going to make sure the truth is brought to the American people of the perversion and the corruption of the Democratic Party, and the need to support Donald Trump and this Russian nonsense we got to get rid of. It's all a lie. There's no evidence, and it's going to turn back on Hillary and Podesta, who are the two who are really in the back pocket of Russia all along.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to be, we will be promoting your appearance on Infowars. We'll be promoting Infowars because your investigative work product as well is always spot on, and we really appreciate it. Dr. Corsi, you've done a fantastic
it's always a great pleasure to be with you, and I strongly support your efforts. You've been a stalwart for years, and I've always supported what you've done.
Absolutely.
God bless you, and thank you very much.
Hey, have a great dinner, both of you, all three of you, that is. God bless you, and we'll be praying for you. Order dessert on us. All right.